to this country. Don't cut me off when I'm talking about Chris Taylor. Now, you get that straight.
He's fast. He's the world's fastest human, I'll tell you that. Billy is the most scientific wrestler in the world.
Guys like Billy Robinson, these are different fucking human beings. This is a different time of the world. I mean, even look at the way they're built. They're just strong. There's not bodybuilder muscles. These guys are just animals.
Billy Robinson is a fanatic wrestler. He lives and dies training and wrestling because he is that way inclined.
What was Billy Robinson like? Because he was a legitimately tough guy, a shooter, and he was known for being a bully in a situation like that.
He beat us all up. He did. But I didn't think him being a bully. He just wanted to let us know that he could kick our ass, which he could.
If I'm here with you, and I can't pull your head when I'm going to slip this here, I'm going to pop your head up to here, and now I'll go straight into the double wrist lock.
Billy Robinson, if you give him your arm or leg or something like that, then, you know, he can break it.
I can't break it this way, so I block here and just turn here. And then that's the arm back into the leg.
So he taught us all that wrestling stuff, you know. Showed us all how to break fingers, break arms, break legs, you know.
He reminds me of the old-time gunfighters that if they heard there was somebody quick on the draw, they had to go to that town and find out. If he heard tomorrow that there was a great wrestler in China, he would have to go to China and take this man on and try him.
Billy Robinson, the brutal, bone-breaking, catch-wrestling hardman, known as the British Lion. Billy is recognised as one of the most dangerous wrestlers of all time. Trained in the devastating art of catch wrestling, and with his early years as a boxer, Billy Robinson was a formidable opponent. And what really happened in the infamous street fight between Billy Robinson and High Chief Peter Maivia, Powerhouse and grandfather to The Rock. More details on that brutal fight coming up. But it all began in Manchester, England, when Billy was born on September the 18th, 1938. Fighting was in his blood from the very beginning, with his great-grandfather Harry being a bare-knuckle champion, and his father, William James, and grandfather both being boxers. At the young age of 4, Billy himself took up the family tradition and began boxing. He loved the sport and dreamt of going pro. But an eye injury at the age of 11 meant Billy would be disqualified from having a boxing license. Our childhood experiences create who we are to become. And Billy spoke of an incident when he was young and being chased by 3 boys. Upon seeing this, Billy's dad gave him the option of either fighting the 3 boys or fighting him. Billy opted to fight the 3 boys, whilst his dad made sure it was one-on-one. Billy beat all 3 boys. Billy had now had a taste of violence, and Billy said it was the only time he remembered his father being proud of him. At 14 years old, Billy was now amateur wrestling and would be introduced to Billy Riley.
Billy Riley was a great wrestler. In fact, in Wigan, Wigan wrestlers look up to him more or less as a godlike. His wrestling ability and his knowledge, his wrestling knowledge is very vast.
Riley was a respected catch wrestling coach who ran Riley's gym in Wigan.
What keeps them coming to Riley's gym?
We feel like a kind of an elite of the wrestling world. That's what we feel, don't we?
That's right. Well, we were the elite of the wrestling world.
He bought the land. He got the boys together who were tradesmen, and that's how we built the gym. It's rough, but to us, home.
The gym would later be named the Snake Pit, one of the most famous and roughest catch wrestling gyms in the world. The gym produced some notable wrestlers including Carl Gotch, Bert Asarati and Tommy Moore, aka Jack Dempsey.
Oh my God. Yeah, the catch wrestling was a particularly brutal style of grappling.
In England.
Yeah.
It was really tough.
I mean, it was wrestling, but it was also real submission moves. And those guys physically were such fucking specimens.
Billy turned pro at 19. He would win the 1957 Freestyle Wrestling Championship. Billy went over to Sweden, beating everyone, including 2-time Olympic champion Alex Gromberg. And Gösta Andersson quit after 1 minute, saying that Billy was far too dangerous. He moved on to professional wrestling, winning both the British and European titles. He travelled the world with his wrestling and would wrestle a young Andre the Giant, and they would often hang out and play cards together. He would wrestle Jesse Ventura in the late 70s and early 80s, winning with his superior skills.
You're hit. You're bleeding, man. I ain't got time to bleed.
Ventura was very impressed and spoke of Billy's toughness, saying that Billy was always the toughest guy in the locker room. He would wrestle Vern Gagne, and the two would also star in the 1974 movie The Wrestler. Also in the movie, for the wrestling fans out there, there's a very young, unrecognisable Ric Flair.
We got to the centre of the ring and the referee gave us our instructions and I put my hand out to shake. But instead of taking it, he tapped me on the face and said, "Good luck, son." What happened?
Hi everyone, if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. And if you haven't subscribed, it would mean the world to me if you would please hit the subscribe button, as actually 80% of my viewers haven't subscribed yet, and it's all free, it won't cost a thing. And my next goal is to get the 100,000 subs, so thank you very much if you do subscribe. Please leave a comment and hit the thumbs up button, as it really helps with the channel. Thank you so much. Okay, now let's get to what really happened in that infamous and legendary street fight between Billy Robinson and Peter Maivia. Now, one story that was doing the rounds was that Peter Maivia pulled out the eye of Billy Robinson. There was also talk of Peter Maivia throwing Billy Robinson through a plate glass window. There was also talk of Peter Maivia biting through the face of Billy Robinson.
I don't care about his power. He's always bragging about his power, and I'll bite, I'll kick, I'll do anything.
Now, Peter Maivia had a massive reputation. Apparently, when he kicked off, it took a handful of police to try and subdue him. And he was very much in the mould of Haku, very similar to Haku. He had that reputation, and he was very dangerous, would go for eyes and bite and stuff like that. So there was talk of him pulling out Billy Robinson's eye. 41 years after the event, Billy Robinson did respond with his version of that fight. Okay, so this is from Mike Aldrin's Wrestling Globe. We were honoured to receive a letter from Billy Robinson regarding his altercation with Peter Maivia, grandfather of The Rock. Billy tells us that the altercation took place in late 1969 during a tour of Japan. This is his first ever public comment on the matter 41 years later. So Billy writes, "Peter Maivia was a great guy. I knew him in England and got him and George Gordienko booked in Japan for that tour. Peter was a little wild when he'd had a few drinks. We were in the south of Japan and in an area where not too many people spoke English. Peter got impatient and started to act up, which was making things worse, as nobody was getting served at the bar. I told him to grow up and shut up so that we could all get served, which he did. But Peter being Peter, it played on his mind. On the way back to the hotel, Peter, for some reason, wanted to fight me and started throwing punches. I grabbed him and held him so he couldn't move. He then tried to bite me in the neck, so I pulled my jaw down so he couldn't do any real damage, but he bit through my cheek. When I saw the blood, I got angry and I knocked him out. He was unconscious for 25 minutes. I had to go to hospital to get a shot for the bacteria, and the next day I found out that George had instigated the whole episode, so I went into both of their rooms, locked the door and challenged them. Neither wanted to do anything after that. And a couple of days later, we were good friends again. As for the eye story, I had an operation on my right eye when I was 11 years old. Peter did not have the ability as a street fighter to get close to my eyes. And the reason I got bitten was because I didn't want to hurt him. But as you know, over the years, stories get exaggerated. Reputations are usually made by people who have never been on the mat or in a street fight. Like most pro wrestlers, workers, they start to believe they know how to wrestle and they are really tough, but they never seem to have fought or beaten anyone. So, if Peter Maivia did get the better of Billy Robinson, then he's a special fighter, because Billy was very, very dangerous and clearly respected in those circles. Was Billy Robinson the most dangerous man in that era of wrestling? A lot of people seem to think he was. We have to remember this was a generation before the legendary Tonga, aka Haku, as Tonga was born 21 years after Billy. But it was interesting for me to think about a mouth-watering fight between Tonga and Billy Robinson. Would Billy be too skilled at his bone-breaking techniques for Tonga? I've heard people say if you made one mistake against Billy, he would instantly have you in a position to do serious damage. Or would Tonga's brutal tactics of biting and going for the eyes get him the victory? We'll never know, but definitely two of the most legitimately dangerous wrestlers of all time. There was another story about Sailor White putting a beating on Billy Robinson, but apparently he had got Billy drunk before hitting him from behind and jumping all over him, which isn't really a victory in my eyes. Billy Robinson's legacy extends far beyond his in-ring accomplishments. In personal life, Billy Robinson had a son named Spencer Robinson. In 2001, Billy moved to Little Rock, Arkansas to be closer to Spencer and his family. Spencer Robinson served as a colonel at Camp Joseph T. Robinson, a 33,000-acre training facility of the Army National Guard. Beyond his immediate family, Billy Robinson's legacy extends through his numerous students and the wrestling community he influenced. In the later years of his life, he became one of the most sought-after trainers in the world, teaching the art of catch wrestling to a new generation of fighters. Two of his most famous students were Josh Barnett and Kazushi Sakuraba, both of whom carried Robinson's teachings into mixed martial arts and professional wrestling.
And just lift him. He has his hips in the air. Where's he gonna go? Yeah. Where I want him to.
Hook it. Don't hook it with the soft part. Come into here. Now you come up. When I turn, I've got the pressure into my body here.
Josh Barnett, a former UFC heavyweight champion and accomplished grappler, credited Robinson for refining his grappling game and instilling a deeper understanding of catch wrestling's brutal efficiency. Kazushi Sakuraba, the legendary Gracie hunter, used Robinson's techniques to dominate Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioners in MMA, becoming one of the sport's greatest icons. Billy Robinson also taught Chael Sonnen, Randy Couture, amongst many others. Robinson's teaching emphasised the fundamentals of leverage, positioning and submissions, blending them into a fighting style that was both practical and devastating. Billy Robinson's influence on the world of wrestling and martial arts is immeasurable, to his role as a mentor to Josh Barnett and Sakuraba. Billy Robinson's life is a testament to the enduring power of catch wrestling. He remains an icon of the sport, remembered as one of the toughest and most skilled grapplers in history.